Hi, my name's Lou Kirkwood. Currently I'm the school leader at New Horizons Preschool. It's a bit of a dual role, so I have the school leader role, which is the day-to-day running of New Horizons, but I also wear an educational leader hat as well. New Horizons Preschool has two campuses. Our Battery Point campus is a 60-place service in Battery Point. Our Lenah Valley campus is a 25-place service, and that's out in Lenah Valley. That's our very old original service that was opened in 2006. The Battery Point service opened in 2017. Battery Point is a little bit of a bigger service. It has up to 60 children on any given day. Something that we've been really focusing on at New Horizons over the last few years is really thinking deeply about the organisational structures of the business, of the preschool, and ways in which we can organise our classrooms and spaces to not only support the children and families, but also to support the educators and the way in which they work alongside children. So one of the things we reframed here over the last few years was changing our model of having those slightly larger classes of 24, 25 children with the ratio of 3 educators in the room, to having classes of around 14 to 15 children, still with 3 educators in the room, but also on a set day attendance pattern. So our children will generally attend a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Thursday, Friday attendance. And what that means is that we have these beautiful little class groups that are consistent. So the relationships and connections across those classes have been such a beautiful element to the way that we've changed our working sort of structures of our classroom. And so those children all attend on the same day. And what that has enabled us, or the educators, to do is to really start to dig a little bit deeper in their research alongside children. So it's opened up these beautiful possibilities for really deep learning and deep connections with inquiry projects here at Battery Point in particular, and the traces of the learning that remain in our service. And I know in Reggio Emilia they talk about how the walls speak and how the documentation speaks to the community, to the children, to the educators, to the history and to the context of a place. And that's something we've also been really passionate about here, is to try and have a place and a space and a context that speaks not only for children but about children and about the children that have been here, about their learning journeys, how each year leads on to a new inquiry, but it's connected to the old inquiry from years gone past. And I think that way of focusing on the smaller groups has really deepened that learning journey for us.
My name's Leah. I've been at Battery Point this year since the start of the year, and I was at Lenah Valley for a year last year. I have an amazing teaching team. There's 4 of us in our classroom, and with our planning we often discuss how we can make the space a space where every child can feel comfortable. We talk a lot about in our class, everybody's different, and there's 100 different languages of learning, there's 100 different languages of showing your learning, and there's 100 different languages of people.
My name's Meredith. I teach the Omalia class, which is our kinder equivalent class. So 4 and 5-year-olds we have. And I've been at Battery Point on and off, I guess. I've worked at both of our campuses. I've been here probably about 4 years. So in my team, we have, there's 4 of us. So our collaborative planning looks like sitting down together, getting things down on paper. Not everybody, thinks in the same way, so getting everyone's thoughts could be through written documentation, conversations. It might be taking charge of different aspects of the inquiry. We all kind of share that process and make sure everyone has a say.
In terms of documentation or educational documentation, every team works slightly differently. I think it's really important as a school leader to really give educators the space to also have opportunities to explore the 100 languages, because just like children, the staff also have 100 ways of showing their learning, of knowing, of expressing ideas. So all of our teams work slightly differently. They all plan slightly differently. But I think for us, in terms of having a big overarching question that anchors our inquiry projects, really holds together our research across a year. So every little class does something slightly different, but it's all connected to our overarching concept or subject that we're researching.
As you walk into our classroom, you can see the journey of our inquiry from the very beginning of the year all the way through to the present moment. And it's a lot of documentation of the children's learning, whether that's photographs, images they've taken, little models they've made. We try and incorporate the 100 languages into the documentation as well, so that we can show lots of different ways of the children learning. The children have collected all sorts of bits and pieces that we've incorporated into the documentation that's all over the walls. So the children can also track the journey of our learning from the very start right up to where we are at the moment. We often have videos or recordings of the children playing at the beach in our classroom. We have photographs, we have games made up with cards, of photographic cards of places or special things from Treasure Beach. We talk about it in morning meetings, and things that we've noticed or things that might have changed, new wonderings, new ideas, and and you see it in the children, in their games and their thinking.
Our classes are smaller, our class sizes are smaller, so instead of having 25 to 30 children in one room together, we work with a smaller number of children at a time, which, it's much more comfortable for everybody. We often work in smaller groups as well, so it's more intentional and more focused. So we reflect that in our spaces, I guess, by setting up spaces that encourage collaborative play as well. So block spaces, we'd always have a block space set up in the classroom for children to engage with together rather than separate tables, or we don't have many chairs in our classroom at all. We'd always have large scale sort of collaborative drawing or artwork as well. That's often a feature in most of the classrooms, rather than an individual piece of paper just for one child to have and put in their bag, or we're working on things together rather than separately. The spaces need to be set up with that in mind. And it might mean that at the end of the year the children don't have a lot of individual work, but I think it's more important for children to be learning how to work together, build those values, I guess, collaboration and consideration and thoughtfulness. We're still recording what individuals do, but the process is a collaborative one. So lots of, individual things that make up a whole. So at the moment, as part of my inquiry project, we're focusing on colour, and we've been exploring a local beach, and the children have made hundreds of these colour swatches that match to rocks or shells or the water or the sky to make up a whole. So we're still recording what that child's done during the process of making that collaborative artwork, but it makes up a whole piece, I guess, in the end. If it was just one of the child's swatches, that looks great, but all together with hundreds together, it's much more beautiful, I think. So one of the educators in our team has been working in small groups with the children on a digital representation of the beach using the colour palettes that we've made within the artwork. We've started to put some of it together. We've got the process of that on the wall. I guess that's another way that we work collaboratively. So, you know, not every child's going to have done that piece of artwork in particular, as in they're not going to have their own one, but we're working on it over a period of time together. Everyone will have something that they've contributed.